Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast powered by Cineman. I'm Ewan and as always, I'm joined by Lachlan.
The Oscar nominations were announced. Ewan and I will discuss our thoughts on this very super important. Nothing else matters at this current point in time because the Oscar nominations were announced. It doesn't matter. There's people dying. There's wars happening. Doesn't matter. The Oscars were announced. That's the most important thing. The Oscars, baby. Let's go.
Let's go, yes. I tried to catch up with some of them, the stuff that I haven't seen, some of the things that snuck its way in there and made big drama for the Academy. I also caught up with The Last of Us. You did as well. So we'll be talking about episode 2 of that show as well.
Finally, our big conversational piece of the week. It's a movie that has stunned audiences around the globe, and it's also put Paul Mescal on everyone's sexiest man alive lists. That's right. This week, I finally caught up with Ewan's favorite film of last year, Aftersun.
It took you long enough, so let's waste no more time and cue up that intro. We are professionals.
This is a professional podcast.
Yes. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Hello there. Which actually,
did you
this
get
is gonna
me a
be
hat
a
as
bit,
well?
Yes.
So I've got Dune Cam. It's just a camera with my Dune steelbook.
Welcome back, Lachlan.
We're back.
I'm very excited about this week's episode. Not
So
because of Aftersun, of course, just because we get to talk about Oscars and the prestigious
Oscars,
and this
of
drama.
course.
And people care.
Wow.
No, I uploaded some of the content that I made around, I guess, Oscars, and someone commented, imagine caring about the, awards. I was like, for a second, yeah. I guess I don't really care, but the content around it is kind of fun to make. But ultimately, this doesn't matter, especially for some of the things that made it in here, right? We don't need the legitimization from an academy of voters, but it's still, I guess, a fun one to catch up with some stuff that you haven't seen. For me, that wasn't a lot.
Well, I mean, to add on to what you said, who the fuck cares about these prestigious awards? These people make enough money. And honestly, it's more of a recognition of either someone's very big, I guess, process into either getting into a character. I think, best actor and best actress and supporting is very important. And I sometimes I watch the Oscars because there are going to be some of those films that just really deserve some recognition, and I'm really hoping to see Everything Everywhere All at Once do a clean sweep for being such an independent masterpiece and has somehow been this very successful commercial film. But on top of that as well, I mean, there's just these awesome foreign films and docos and shorts that you probably never heard of, and then they get nominated and they finally get onto your radar. So that's also something very exciting. But yeah, let's get into, Oscar nominations.
Yes. I want to tag on to Everything Everywhere real quick because that has really re-released, in the States in over 1,000 theaters. So it's adding onto its, I think, 100 million plus run, which is really unseen, for an indie film like that to do this well. I feel like pretty much for all of the at least top 10 Best Picture nominees, they've done fairly well at the box office, other than maybe one or two of them. But it's not really small movies that get in here. And to maybe answer your question a bit for who cares about the Oscars, I think it is the industry people, but the less eyes and interest that is going to be on the Oscars, the less they are going to care about it. So we might see a shift away as they become more and more irrelevant from that a late fall release of these prestigious films that try to aim for those awards. The biggest winner of the nominations was Everything Everywhere All at Once, raking in a staggering amount of 11 nominations in total. For Best Picture, of course, Best Director, Best Screenplay. It got 4 nominations in the acting categories for Michelle Yeoh, Ke Kwan, Stephanie Sue, and Jamie Lee Curtis. So pretty much everyone who was in that film ended up being nominated. It got some of the tech nominations as well. So it's I'm glad to see it be recognized in that way. And yeah, I mean, you must be happy about that as well, right?
Definitely. I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once early on in the year, so When it comes to the technical achievements, there have been some other films that have come out that I think are more deserving of that. But I would really love to see, even though my prediction is not going to be this, I would love to see Best Director for the Daniels. And I would definitely, and I think it's one of the big front runners for Best Picture. I'd be very happy to see that take the top spot. But 11. But funnily enough, not the most surprising nomination amount.
No.
Because All Quiet on the Western Front got 9 nominations. 9 of them equal with Banshees. My gosh, that's a incredible feat, especially for a foreign film as well. And I'm sure Netflix must be absolutely happy and over the moon with themselves that this is getting so many nominations.
It's pretty much the only thing that got nominations. I think Glass Onion snuck its way into Best Adapted Screenplay because it is a sequel. So that's the only, I think, other big nomination that Netflix probably has gotten. It's also the most nominated German film to like ever. Because there was the original from 1930. That was an adaptation of the book, the novel that won the Oscar in, I think, 1930 or something like that. But that was an American film. And I don't know how many nominations it got. Also, really different landscape. I think it was like the 3rd Academy Awards. So they didn't have as many categories. But it swept at the BAFTAs especially. You saw it rise. I think it got like 13 nominations at the BAFTAs. It was crazy. It was also the most nominated film there by a landslide. And it got into Best Picture. It obviously is going to win International Picture, I guess, now, which makes it less interesting. Before we continue with All Quiet, because there might be some interesting tech categories that it got, and even got a screenplay adapted screenplay nomination. There was a huge snub that I actually do care about, and that was for Park Chan-wook's Decision to Leave. It didn't get a single nomination. Not in international feature, not in editing, not in cinematography, that was maybe a bit of a long shot in Best Director, nothing. And to me, that's a misstep. That's really disappointing to see. What do you think?
Well, clearly wasn't as beloved as the other film, so sorry, Ewan.
Other than the donkey film and they do love. I still haven't seen EO. It's one of the films that I think has played in theaters, but I've also had a ticket when it played in Cannes, and then I didn't go because I thought like it's just a donkey film. But I guess now I'm regretting it. I mean, The Quiet Girl, the Irish film, is great. I caught up with that one. Close was my second favorite film, other than the film we're talking about later today, Aftersun. So I'm happy that got in. But Argentina 1985, I guess, won the Golden Globe. So it's definitely like one of the films that I guess is a lock now to get in. But to me, that was really just like a standard court drama that I guess was interesting, like from what it was about, but I didn't really love it as a film. I mean, it's, I guess, a strong year for international films, but still disappointing to see one of my favorites not get recognized in any sort of way, especially if it is just, for more people to go seek it out. And it's a bit of a miss for Mubi. Maybe they should have done a bit more campaigning for that film. That might be because they're a newcomer, that they might be not as worse than that. Lachlan, Elvis got 8 nominations. I don't want to talk about it. Banshees got 9. We mentioned that. Fableman's got 7. I think that's the top contenders. Do you want to read out the Best Picture 10 lineup then?
Me? I can do that?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for letting me have this honor.
Yeah.
So, in the Best Picture category, ladies and gentlemen, there were 10 films that got in, and they are as follows. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. All Quiet on the Western Front. The Banshees of Inisherin. Elvis. The Fablemans. Tar. Triangle of Sadness. Women Talking. Top Gun Maverick. And Avatar, The Way of Water. Those were the films that landed in the Best Picture category. Ewan, thoughts?
I mean, I called 9 out of 10 of these when we did our predictions. I had Aftersun in here. just because
Of
I
course you
was
did.
I just really was rooting for it, and I'm really happy, by the way, that Paul Mescal did get his lead actor nomination.
He got one
really
nomination.
happy about that.
One.
I mean, that was the most likely one. If it got like screenplay, I would have literally flipped my chair. Probably.
Wow.
It would have been amazing. Yeah, I was very excited for him to get in. But yeah, I mean, the number 10 slot was up for contention, maybe even 8. But Triangle of Sadness ended up getting in with just 2 nominations overall. Ruben Östlund somehow got a Best Director nomination, which I thought was a bit out there, but I don't know. I'll take it over Baz Luhrmann, who didn't get one. And Women Talking got adapted screenplay and got into Best Picture. So those are definitely like the bottom 2 of these because they didn't get any other sort of recognition when it comes to nominations. But The Whale was one of the films that might have made its way in there, but it didn't get anything, I think, besides Brendan Fraser's acting nomination. So that was one that underperformed, didn't even get screenplay. That was a wild category as well to see. Lachlan, it's been one of the years where, other than I think Women Talking, you've seen all of the films in here, right? Have you seen Triangle of Sadness yet?
I have not seen Triangle of Sadness yet.
So it's only 2 that you haven't seen yet.
I've only got 2, yeah. There's a number of films that I haven't seen this year, mainly because they haven't come out yet in Australia. The Whale comes out next week, so I'll finally be able to go and see that in cinemas, which I'm quite excited for. But to name a couple of the big ones that I haven't seen, other than The Whale, for actor and actress, I've got Living in Causeway. I haven't seen those, and To Leslie. I haven't seen that either. In the animation department, I'm still yet to see Puss in Boots, and I never saw The Sea Beast. Cinematography, Empire of Light. I've yet to see that. But I do know I'll probably enjoy visually because it is Roger Deakins, and everything he touches, that man turns into like liquid gold.
Well,
Bando, False Chronicle, and A Handful of Truths. You told me to stay away, or whatever. Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. But other than that, I mean, the only other films that I haven't seen are going to be the docos of both, feature length and short, and a couple of the international films plus shorts. I haven't seen the shorts either, which is typically the way it goes. I don't think I've seen a single one of the short films at like any of them. Of all 10 of them, I haven't seen a single one. But I have pretty much seen every other film.
Yeah.
Where? When?
I don't know when and where would you go watch them. It's really hard to go see them. But there was actually, funnily enough, there's one animated stop motion even that was really close to where we studied film, just up like one town up in a different university. Was done there, so like I was really happy to see at the Griffith University.
Did they?
Yeah, one of them got in, and that one is really pleasant. I like that one. I hope that one wins.
Which one's that one?
Well, we'll get to it in what we've been watching, because I did catch up with some of the Oscar films. So if you're interested, I'll share my thoughts on something like To Leslie right there, which I guess ties me over to that film that had a bit of I guess a meme that came from it. Like, the Academy is now looking into the nominations or whatever. There's like a meme on Twitter that I saw now, because like they announced to be investigating this because Andrea Riseborough, for her performance in To Leslie, a film that came out I guess earlier in 2022. No one ended up watching it. It was a complete bomb, like at the box office. Ended up campaigning for herself, getting her, I guess, famous friends to create a bit of buzz around her, get the attention up. It got to voters, apparently, and she got in over, like, I mean, she's not campaigning to kick someone else out, but I still am quite disappointed after having seen the film that she got in over someone like Danielle Detweiler for her performance in Till. I think she was definitely like actor worthy for an Oscar. She was amazing in that film. Strongest part of it. Just Viola Davis was one of my runner-ups. She was in The Woman King. Really had a physical performance in there. And they've been, as well as like Gina Bythewood. I'm blanking on her second name there, but she's the director of The Woman King. they've been on like a bunch of these talks that Variety does or whatever, like the roundtables. And whenever they speak, they have so much passion about that, like a film like this, a black female led period piece with action is never getting made because the money's not there. And I feel like it's like doubly unfortunate that like a white woman just by campaigning gets over them and they get completely shut out. I think Deadweiler would have been over Viola Davis regardless, so she wouldn't have gotten recognized. But still, it's to me, it's not a great look that like you know who ends up in there, and I think her performance into Leslie isn't even that great, if I'm being honest. I don't see it at all. But yeah, that's that. It's a pity, but I mean, Ana de Armas is also in there for Blonde, and I wouldn't have put her in there. Ultimately, this is a race between Cate Blanchett, who gave her best performance of her lifetime. Same with Michelle Yeoh. It's gonna be between the two of them, and I'm rooting for both of them. I don't really care who wins. They were both amazing. But yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, if I'm being honest. And Lachlan, if you think about Top Gun Maverick, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Like, what stands out for that film, other than topless people dancing at the beach? Okay, that's no.
The number one thing that comes out in that film was best dialogue. So best adapted screenplay.
Best use of freezing time and completely being in the golden hour for the entirety of the film. That was amazing how they did that.
I would say the three things are technicals, so editing, cinematography, and sound. However, if I go through those, if I look at film editing, you've got Banshees, Elvis, Everything, Tar, and Top Gun. And as much as I enjoyed Top Gun's editing, I have to admit, I think Everywhere has got that one as the main competitor for that. In terms of cinematography, it's not in there.
It's not. Yes, that's what I was getting.
It's not in there.
It's not in there. It was my front runner to win this.
Shocker.
But it's All Quiet,
right?
Bardo, Elvis, Empire of Light, and Tar, which I'm really happy about. Tar. It's got some amazing cinematography.
It does. It's not going to get it though.
No,
it's not getting it.
It's definitely going to All Quiet now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's going to sweep the tech stuff. I mean, it also deserves it. It would be one of the runner-ups for me as well. Empire of Light might be like Roger Deakins' weakest. It's fine. It definitely doesn't deserve to be Oscar nominated here. Bardo is great. Elvis, get the fuck out of here. You're just like an ADHD-filled whatever on speed. But it's crazy that Top Gun doesn't get in here. I feel like that's like to me that's its strongest thing to have like camera on fighter chat. that's the appealing thing of the film.
At least with the third technical award being sound, it is in there. Which I think it has a good chance. I do think it has a really good chance of winning it. It is against All Quiet as well, which I think that's a very technically proficient film from last year, nailing all of the the meat of making a film, sound, editing, and cinematography. Nails it all. But I think Top Gun has a chance in sound, since it doesn't have a chance. If it was in cinematography, I could possibly say that it gets in there and it's probably going to win for the advancements it made with shooting in planes. For one of the technical advancements and also just the sheer beauty of it. But because it's not in there, I think it has a possible chance of getting sound instead of just, All Quiet sweeping. I'd like to see Top Gun get sound.
Dude, I feel like Elvis even has a shot at sound just because the sound branch is sometimes like, hey, this is a music film, let's give it that. I mean, the Batman is also in there. I would probably give it to the Batman. I love the soundscape in there. I think the Batman didn't get a score, which I've been listening to the Babylon score. On and off again. I thought the
Batman score was good, but Babylon has got score in the bag. That's a I think
I would be very surprised if
what else is in the score? Banshees, Everything, and Fablemans. Yeah, I don't think it stands a chance. Even All Quiet.
And All Quiet.
Babylon's score is the best thing about that film.
Yeah, agreed. I gave it like a 3 out of 5, right? I think I'm retroactively bumping that up to a 3.5 just because I've been listening to the score more. It's amazing. But I think notably a film that we quite enjoyed that didn't get any nominations was Nope as well. That was a bit disappointing to see.
Not
but
even like
I guess,
original screenplay nod or anything,
No,
because I thought it was
nothing,
a fun, enjoyable film from at least an original standpoint. I think as well, it's pretty stunning. IMAX horror film, never been done before. That's a unique thing. But no, I think it's I think it was a strong film when it came out. It's just that there's a lot of other films that came out with something that they're just stronger at, you know? Like, I don't think Top Gun Maverick is a better film than Nope, but I do think the cinematography is better in Top Gun. I don't think you know, do I think the Batman is better than Nope? Oh, that's a man. Now I'm really playing with my I have both 4Ks, so I like both
on the
films.
action. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one that Nope's not even nominated for something. Because it's definitely better than Us. Is it better than Get Out? I mean, did Get Out get anything?
Yeah, it got best screenplay.
Got best screenplay? Yeah, I'm surprised it's not in the
else
same category with best screenplay.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think Nope was more of a technical film.
It was also nominated for Best Picture, leading actor, and direction back in 2018, but nothing with Nope. And I feel like Nope was, I think Nope is his best.
Yeah, I feel like it's up there as well. It wasn't initially, but the more I think about it, I think it's up there for me as well. I would have definitely
to Jordan Peele. I feel like it's his like best direction, and I mean, I haven't read the screenplay.
He gets to do more stuff, you know.
Can I get the
we'll get on to that. I'll get up my thingies and get you the screenplays. I think we're pretty much done with most of it. The only other big thing was like there was some speculations: are the Banshee Boys getting in there, or because like in supporting actor it was really crowded? Are the Fableman Boys in there, or at least Paul Dano? No Paul Dano, but Judd Hirsch for a single scene in Fableman's got in over them. But we did get Brendan Gleeson and Barry Keoghan both in there. But
Ewan,
it was a bit surprising. Yeah.
This is completely off topic, but it's all about Paul Dano. Because I'm a bit sad that Paul Dano hasn't been nominated. But what was Paul Dano's best performance? Was it the Riddler or was it Spielberg's father?
I think I liked him more as the father.
The Riddler?
If you asked me about Colin Farrell.
I was going to say, because I thought he was better. And now my next question is Penguin or whatever his name is in Banshees. Cole?
Is that the other guy? Eyebrow Man. I think it's hard. I love his performance in Banshees. I think he completely disappears in The Batman. It's so not awards recognized. He's great in it. I feel like he gets way more to do in Banshees. So I think I'd definitely still go with Banshees over Batman. But it's an amazing performance as well. I think if it were up to me, I'd put the After Yang performance over both of them. He was amazing in After Yang.
Oh yeah, no, After Yang will be my favorite performance of him of the year. But yeah, I feel like the Batman had some pretty good supporting actors in it. Which were all in very big. Even Barry Keoghan as well. He was also in the Batman.
Was in there as well.
Oh my god, is everyone in the Batman? Oh god, that's crazy.
I mean, I would like him and Paul Mescal. I'm really excited to see more of Barry Keoghan and Paul Mescal. I think they're even Brian Tyree Henry, who made a bit of a
Freeze.
I'd love to see
2024
Irish Mr. Freeze. He's like, yeah, no, I'm used to this weather. It's always shit up here anyways. And like that's his shtick. Yeah, no. I'd love to see that. Anyways, we are doing our awards prediction contest again. You can win a year of Letterboxd Pro. We have linked below for the next couple of episodes leading up to the Oscars. The Google form that you can fill out if you get the most amount of, I guess, the winners right. There will be a raffle for those who I guess, get the most to win a year of Letterboxd Pro. So participate if you want to. We'll be joining along as well and doing horribly as we've always had. But also closer to the awards themselves, Lachlan and I are trying to catch up with everything still from 2022, and then doing our own little award show where we recognize or get to shout out some of the films like Nope, or maybe even The Batman a bit more, or After Yang, that didn't get any awards recognition, stuff that we believe has been the best of 2022. So we'll get to that closer to the Oscars, so be on the lookout for that. But without further ado, Lachlan, let's talk about some movies that you've been watching.
Yes, or movie and video game. I mean, TV show and video game.
TV.
Because
it's all media.
We watched Last of Us episode 2. That was good.
Yes.
You enjoyed
good.
The second episode?
Yes. I mean, I guess let's put up spoilers for episode 2.
Spoilers, episode 2.
Because I feel like we can't talk about it without mentioning that the story is progressing, I think, quite fast, but it needs to be in this TV show. And there's some notable changes that they made.
With a lot of changes, yeah. Also, I finished Last of Us Part 1, by the way. I know you're still making your way through it. Yeah, I finished it on my birthday.
I had some technical issues, so I had to postpone actually playing it. But now, like later tonight of today's recording on Sunday, we're recording on Sunday, I'll be finishing the game, hopefully. I don't know, maybe something will keep me from it. But I'm very keen to finish it up. But yeah, what did you think of the episode?
I think it made me enjoy the show a bit more. That's the fun part about episode 2, is that I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed episode 1. Funnily enough, I went back and watched both episodes again, back to back, episode 1 and then episode 2, and it definitely made me enjoy episode 1 a little bit more. As I said, some of the dialogue that's taken directly from the game is sometimes just a little bit too like jarring, and it's just there, and you know, some people are really going to enjoy that, but personally I just don't like that. If you're going to adapt something and you're going to quote some stuff from the game, it doesn't have to be every couple of minutes, and at least give it some sort of breathing space and, you know, adapt the world around it, because it will essentially just be all of a sudden, here's another scene with word for word what happened, and you know, it's grown on me a little bit more. It's not as jarring because I wasn't, you know, it's not just right there happening in front of me. I've just sat and let it simmer a little bit. But for me, I think the best thing so far has been the changes they have made regarding the virus, and also the fucking cold openings of each episode have been fantastic. Like, absolutely fantastic. Is that the highlight for the show for me right now? No, it's not. But it is one of the things I'm looking forward to. If they do something like this almost every episode, I'm excited, because it's going to it expands this world to be not just the US, which is one big thing that I've always wanted to know about the Last of Us world, is what about the rest of the world? Specifically Switzerland. I'd love to see how your country goes up against it, being surrounded by other countries, bunkers. Where Australia, we're by ourselves. We have no chance unless we kick it in the ass. And, you know, do you reckon a country with borders or without borders is more successful? Granted that the US is both border and borderless.
I think Tasmania is doing really well.
Tassie will be fine. Tassie will be fine. Inbreds, man, they do it well.
I think every country is going to be proper fucked, especially because they just bombed the shit out of towns. And I think Switzerland has like a preparation plan to basically bomb everything that is not the mountains, so where all the people live. I think we've had that plan since like World War II. To basically get rid of all of the invading forces. So yeah, we are a quite dark country when you look closer at it. But I think Switzerland is gonna seem to be doing fine, but then they're actually just fucked. I think we would be proper
Let's get back to The Last of Us. I think we're going a bit too far into
No.
Let's
continue
we're
more
not a
about
plague or a disease
economics.
podcast. We're a
Right.
movie and TV and visual medium podcast.
Yeah, did you hear about this like horse thing that you can take, and it's supposedly
Oh, right. We're one of those podcasts now, are we?
Yeah.
First person who dies in the zombie apocalypse is Joe Rogan. Okay, so changes in the changes in the wise words of David Bowie, I should say. It's change. Yeah, changes. Which David Bowie is also a musical guest artist in Aftersun, one of the songs.
He is. He is. Yeah.
Linking it all together. Look at me go.
Dude, it's all connected.
Okay. No spores.
No spores.
Interesting, right? Works in video game, definitely does. Does not work in movies and TV. That's a fact.
Yeah.
And they are changing a lot of things to work for the TV and movie space. That's a smart move because not everything is going to be a one-for-one translation from game to screen. And they are doing it very well. One of the biggest changes, and one I liked the most, is the fact that the zombies are rare in the sense that the clickers are rare.
Yeah.
And the most of them die within a month or 2 months. And that is an exciting thing because in the game, you have a bajillion of them because you have to have enemies. In a movie and TV show, you don't necessarily need them all that often because you're not going to be drawn in by the zombie aspect. You're drawn by the human connection aspect, which is Joel and Ellie. Bingo.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that they're all connected is an even cooler addition to this show, and I'm really enjoying how it's kind of, look, there is the similarities here, but we are our own thing with this virus. We're creating this own canon world, and I'm enjoying how much I get, I guess, a little bit more depth that's not technically canon with the games, like the Joel and Tess are actually a thing storyline. But I am enjoying this extra exposition, and
it is HBO after all, so
it is HBO. You need some stuff in there. But no, I'm falling in love with this show. I'm absolutely enjoying it, and it's been renewed for season 2 as well.
Exactly, yeah. I think what I really enjoyed about this episode is, I guess, like, this is the big spoiler that Tess dies in this episode. I don't know completely about, like, her passing. That moment was a bit like, let's do something artful. But the moments before, the way that Pedro Pascal portrays Joel, I feel like was really effective. The way that he's, it's different than the game as well. And they have actually like a podcast that they do with each episode, and I've listened to that last night, and I found it really interesting the way that they were encouraged to not play the games, to, I guess, have their own take on it. I think they since played it, but to me, like, this vulnerability that comes through in this really deeply hurt person, I think he portrays that, and you can feel it, and that's hard to do, and it's not silly or whatsoever. It's not like cliched. It kind of works. There were some cliched things, like there's some storytelling aspects with like them setting up and paying it off, where I felt like that was a bit too much by the numbers and a bit too safe with certain things, where I was like, okay, well, I know where the story is going. Or like the test stuff was a bit too on the nose for me, that like even people who don't know that something's up is like, it's so obvious that something's up, and I feel like you could have that a bit more of a twist as well. But yeah, overall, I feel like the show is nailing it in all of the really important parts that it needs to do. So I'm keen. I'm tuning in each week as soon as it drops.
Joel is more human, I guess, in this show, in the sense that he's more of a likable character, and he's not as dark as he is in the games, which I'm enjoying as a different side of Joel. You see him with Sarah a little bit more. You get a lot more of Sarah as well, which is nice in the first episode. But this Joel that we've got is not the same as the Joel we're used to in the games, because that wouldn't work in the TV show. You need to have someone that you can connect to, and he is, after all, this... He's still a very hard to, relate to character. He's still very stubborn and very walled off with Ellie. But I think that he's not as, I guess, of a dark human being as he is in the games, and that's a very good choice to not have him be as walled off as he is in the games, because you need someone that you like. And my God, he is popping off. Everyone's loving Pedro Pascal as Joel. He's like all over social media, and
he's
he is
all
everyone's
about daddy.
Daddy.
Yeah, everyone's daddy.
Like that's the meme, and he's really nailing it with this
dilf.
role. He needs to stop taking dad roles. You know, he needs to start doing some roles where he doesn't have a child.
Play more.
But
even
Bella
a baby,
as well.
You know, sometimes be careful. Yeah, she's great in it as well. I wanted to touch on the like there's less clickers and less zombies overall in there. That was a bit of like when they get overrun by those couple of zombies. I felt that like they should be a bit more capable, if that makes sense. Like the way that they've been set up.
I agree. I disagree. Sorry, I disagree.
I feel like they whiff it and they like not good at it. That they look like me when I'm playing the game. I was like, what is this? I thought they were like this proficient zombie killers, but I like you disagree?
I disagree because they, as I said, they're making them more rare, so they wouldn't have come up against as many clickers as you might think. Where they know how to survive, they know where to go. You know, they call it do you want to go the long way or the we're fucking dead way, because they know that if they go in here, it's a massive risk. They know how to take out zombies. They know how to take them down. It's really just killing them as many times as you can, and a bullet to the brain is the way to go. But having them, I guess, scuffle with these clickers makes me understand that these are rare creatures. They're not going to be as common as you might think, and that adds an extra layer of, I'm terrified at this. So the fact that they aren't as capable as what I'm pretty efficient with killing clickers at this point. I've played the game like 3 or 4 times, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times beforehand, with the fucking remaster and the original game. So like I'm pretty efficient, but at first I was not. And that's
I'm afraid
the scary part.
I'll definitely die a couple times tonight.
Yeah.
They definitely set it up to them being like more of an actual threat. But we'll see. I'm really keen to see the rest of the season. We got 7 more episodes to go. One, I guess, for us, by the time you're watching this, episode 3 is already out. We haven't seen it yet, but yeah, really keen for that. Lachlan, I've been catching up with some films. I've been busy. I watched a whole bunch of the short films as well for the Oscars. The only one I kind of want to give a shout out to is the one that I enjoyed the most, and it's the one that comes from Australia as well. It's called An Ostrich Told Me the World is Fake, and I Think I Believe It. It's a long title. It's a fun one. It's a stop motion film. Has a lot of care put into it, and I think for a short film, it really kind of nails, what you want to do. You want to make a memorable impression. That was one of the highlights. Catch that if you can find it somewhere. All of the other ones, I feel like, are the typical type of Oscar shorts that get nominated. I think in animation, you got a bit more of a quality seal because it's less accessible. In a live action front, you do have a couple of stinkers in there. Especially in like the story based stuff, but the live action docs are usually quite interesting sometimes. For me, the highlight was Haulout, which was about a guy like camped up on, I think, the North Pole or somewhere like that, where the ice caps are melting, with a bunch of like walruses, and I'm saying a bunch, but I mean a ton, an incredible amount of walruses that are stranded there. And it's a documentary that is like, by the end of it, basically a PSA like, hey, this fucks up the planet and it's fucking with the ecosystems, the way that climate change is fucking shit up. But it's really impactful. It's really subtle because it's just, there's no narration. You just watch it, and it's almost moved me to tears. So it's a great one. There, but other than that, I think you don't really need to catch up on those shorts films. They might even be in like a commercial break regardless. We don't know. The Oscars do some weird stuff. Okay, so the next thing here that I watched, I I watched. I was about to say, like, I don't know why I watched it. I know why I watched it. I just wanted to see how bad it is. I watched Velma, the HBO Warner Bros. Whatever series that's been getting a lot of hate. I think on IMDb it's like the lowest rated animated show of all time. It's really really bad. And it is really really bad. I don't know. It's just like some critiques came in that it's like too woke and too liberal, and it's just bad. It's not even that. It's just like really, really bad. And unfortunately, like everyone who's been involved, which like there's some like pretty big people involved in this, like Mindy Kaling, who I guess other than The Office has gone on to do a bunch of writing stuff that I haven't been really the biggest fan of. But we also have Glenn Howerton, who I really enjoy in Always Sunny. There's quite a few like people who you might know from other comedy the properties that were a part of this, and it's just abysmal dialogue. It should have been obvious that this is horrible. And it is horrible, but I'll continue watching it, and I'll give. I don't know if I'll mention it again because I don't want. Like I don't know. It's like the PR that like, okay, it's bad. Let's see how bad it is, and then they'll continue doing the bad thing because people still watched. Which I don't know if I want to contribute to that, but it is what it is. I watched an anime. I finished an anime, not the one that I talked about, I think 1 or 2 weeks ago. But Chainsaw Man. I started this a couple of months ago and now finished it. It's like, I think a Shogun, I think is what it's called, like a really action based anime, and there's a whole bunch of action. I forgot how horny anime is, like at all times. It is so inappropriately horny and cannot calm down. I think the whole premise of the show is like that the lead is just really horny and he does stuff to impress women. It's so weird. But by the time I think episode 8 rolls around, it actually gets pretty strong. The last 4 or 5 episodes were quite intriguing, so I'll probably end up catching season 2 when it releases as well. Then Poker Face, not the Russell Crowe directed film from last year, but the Rian Johnson produced and first 2 episodes directed by Rian Johnson. Mini series. I don't know if it will get a season 2 with Natasha Lyonne in these like murder mystery esque scenarios. It's really fun. It makes no complete sense because Natasha Lyonne, the premise is that like she basically has to run after episode 1 to like all these different places and encounters people who have murdered someone, and she has like this thing where she can tell when someone's lying. So like that's how they go through and uncover these murders that happen that don't appear to be murders at the beginning of it. All the while she's being chased around the country. It's a fun premise. It makes no sense, but it's really fun if you like murder mysteries from Rian Johnson. And I've been enjoying it. I'll definitely keep up with that show as well. Last 2 are 2 stinkers. That's to stay away from. The Netflix film You People with Eddie Murphy and Jonah Hill is like one of those. I'll introduce myself to your family, and the families are like, I don't know, really strict, or it's Robert De Niro or whoever it is, Meet the Folkers or whatever the 20 films that are in that genre. But usually it's like they believe they just don't like you. And here it's imagine that, but with race. And everything in this film is about race. These characters don't have an identity. All that they have is their race. And it's so incredibly reductive and boring. It's unfunny as well. And it just is really hollow by the end of it. And the 2 leads don't even have that much chemistry, which I guess you kind of need to sell us on the love of them. It really doesn't work. So that was a bit disappointing. I did have some hopes that it would be at least entertaining. And then last and also least, from Prime Video, we got Shotgun Wedding with what's her name? Jennifer Lopez. And it's a wedding where there's shotguns. I don't remember. Yeah, no, I guess she holds a shotgun at one point. So it's a shotgun wedding where they are like on Bali, and then there's pirates that come, and there's this couple who's about to be married, and I guess they have to clean up and clean up on aisle 5. I don't know, and killed him. It's so stupid. It has some of the most horrific scores that I've ever heard in a movie ever. It's horrible. I sat through it, so you don't have to. So please don't go watch Shotgun Wedding. It's really not worth it. So that's all I've been watching. I'm glad that I'm getting back to better stuff tomorrow night with The Last of Us. But Lachlan, let's talk about something that I've rewatched for a third time last night. I couldn't, one of my goals for this review is to not cry on the podcast, which is a weird thing to set, but it's literally a goal of mine because this movie has moved me countless times, even like days after seeing it, it pops up into my mind. So we're talking about Charlotte Wells' Aftersun. Sophie reflects on the shared joy and private melancholy of a holiday she took with her father 20 years earlier. Memories, real and imagined, fill the gaps between mini DV footage as she tries to reconcile the father she knew with the man she didn't. Damn, that's a deep logline. I don't know how to sum this movie up. I think this is not like the best synopsis there could be for it. But it because it's like, it doesn't tell you much, but it's also like, how would you sum up this movie? But I guess it was enough for a lot of people to go check it out. It played earlier in Gun, then is now available in some places, I think on Mubi, or at least you can rent and buy the film now on Letterboxd. It is already high up in the top 250 with a staggering 4.4 rating over there. I think when I made my notes earlier that day, it was a 4.3 and it moved up to a 4.4. I like that trend. Give me more of it. Unsurprisingly, on IMDb, it's not that high up. It's really good. It's 7.8, but it's, a lot of films that are still over it. Pretty much any Nolan film, probably. But on Metacritic, we're back high up with a 95. That's an incredible rating for a film over there. So it really tells you the crowd that it's for. It comes in at a runtime of only 102 minutes, so quite a breeze to get through. It's a film produced by A24 as well as BFI and a whole bunch of involved parties, more notably also Screen Scotland. This is a Scottish film. I kind of was a bit afraid that, it's my favorite film of the year, so this is going to be a 5-star from me. I can already take that away, obviously. But Lachlan, I was afraid that you might not have that much of a good time with it because it is quite a heavy film to consume. And you also, if you're not in the right mind state, right, you like some lighter films as well. So what did you make of Aftersun?
Well, you're correct, Ewan. I sometimes put off films because I need to be in a certain state of mind to watch them. And obviously, I put it off till literally about 6 hours ago when I realized I had to watch it for the podcast. As reference, I didn't talk about it in what I've been watching because I wanted to tell you now. There was only one other film that I watched this week. That is the only other film that I can compare it to, and that's The Equalizer.
Okay. What? Why is that?
Because there's a father-daughter dynamic with Denzel Washington and Chloe Grace Moretz. And very similar style of cinematography. And just so you know, I watched a great action film, and then I watched this, which really made me appreciate something in this film.
Yeah.
How fucking awesome cinema can be. Because The Equalizer has a terrible thing with people's voices and mouths and dialogue. It's okay. But I'm not watching it for that.
Don't like the stuff that comes out of their mouth. Yeah.
The stuff that comes out of their mouth is terrible. If you want to watch something come out of their mouth that's gorgeous and still has Denzel Washington in it, I can recommend a recent film by one of the Coen brothers called The Tragedy of Macbeth. However, this film, Aftersun, has this incredible story that captivated me from start till finish. And it might be because I'm on a very similar journey right now personally with my own home video recorder that I found, and I've got the footage off of that. It's very melancholic with the feeling right now with this film. Yeah. So I watched it at an excellent time. This film is gorgeous, Ewan. I'm shocked that I hadn't watched it earlier, but I'm also glad that I didn't, because if I watched it, you know, when you first told me I should go ahead and watch it, I didn't have that video recorder in my hands, getting all the old footage off.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that films can kind of move you at a certain time of your life, and you can go back and watch it later and something else has happened and you can get a whole nother feeling of it. But I'm not saying that I have a terrible relationship with my father, by the way. My dad is great. Like, this is not like me looking back at my video recorders being like, wow, this holiday when I was 11. It's just that very similar idea where I have my old home videos that I'm looking at.
Yeah, it's like the melancholy overall is really there, and the nostalgia. And I feel like
Nothing
the
happens.
relationship between the thing like between those two, I don't think like he's a bad parent. If like I'm
God,
making
no, but
a
like
big statement there.
nothing in this film happens. Like, I can't really tell you what happens in this film other than just little scenes and moments. It doesn't feel like it's a story happening. It just feels like someone looking at their footage that they found, and that's interesting that I can be so captivated at something so simple and just little moments, like just, you know, standing in a rug store all of a sudden, pointing at a rug, being like, yeah, that's pretty. And you're just like, what is he going to say next? What is she going to say next? How is it going to evolve? Because there's a lot of themes in this film of, I guess, identity. That's a big one for both Callum and Sophie, trying to find themselves in this current place that they're at as an 11-year-old, and I guess as a solo father who's trying to connect with his daughter. There's just a lot of nothing here that ends up being a lot of something, and that's what I found interesting, that I can't really tell you the story of this film in terms of plot, but I can tell you the feeling you get when watching this film.
I completely agreed. It's one of those films that I'd love to have a look at the screenplay as well, just because you cannot like fathom what this movie is just from this screenplay of it. It is so much in the performances, and it is incredible how well that works. The chemistry between Frankie, what's the name, Frankie Corio and Paul Mescal is amazing. Like, in the prep work, I think they spent 2 weeks in Turkey at that holiday destination together to kind of, you know, play off of each other. And usually with child actors, you get some form of a stilted performance because you are trying to get them to do like lines in a sense, but or even here where you try to just go for a feeling and you're maybe a bit more free flowing, it is still so hard to work with an actress. And I love Paul Mescal in this movie. I think like there might be, for me, even a point where like Frankie Corio's performance more than him, and they're both like that amazing. It really is like a once in a lifetime film to me that is so touching in the nothingness of it all. Like this, I think I want to give like a general spoiler warning, but like we said, there's nothing really that happens in the film, and you feel like when you watch the film, you do get the emotion evoked from it that we may be describing, even if you haven't seen the film. But like there's moments like her jumping in the pool with like the older kids, and it's like goes into like underwater, and she's like on her toes to kind of stand up to them, and that could be a really dramatized moment of like she wants to be with these older kids, but she's like not old enough, but she's like smaller, so she struggles to fit in. And like that's all told visually. It's like the quintessential thing of like show don't tell. This movie does so incredibly perfectly. And yeah, I love it from beginning to end. I don't know. I should get more specific other than like I love it. But Lachlan, do you have any starting point? Because I'll just jump around.
There's not really a part that I can just jump into, because it's essentially just an entire, from the start to the beginning, is just this singular holiday that Callum and Sophie go on, and I guess there's both ups and downs throughout the entire thing. I guess I want to praise the cinematography overall. As you talked about, obviously the show don't tell aspect to how they essentially portray what they're trying to portray the story is just mainly just show don't tell. A lot of these shots are locked off. They don't move. They just sit there, except for the camcorder home footage aspect. And you don't feel like you're watching a film. You feel like you're experiencing it with them. Because there doesn't seem to be, there's no advanced, fucking one shot from the start to beginning aspect to try to engage you with how realistic this story is. There's none of that. It's just basic storytelling elements done extremely well. So that's really awesome. And as I said, my only other film I watched this week was The Equalizer, which is Hollywood, right? This is so opposite to Hollywood in the sense that it's not an action-packed drama Marvel movie MCU film, but, and I'm jumping the gun here a little bit with what I'm giving it. I gave it a 5 stars, my first 5 stars of 2023. Yeah, and that's a powerful thing, that something so simple, so basic, and also not a heck of a long film. It's 102 minutes or something like that, I think. Yeah. 102 minutes. Yeah. But it's such a powerful engagement of just raw emotion and a human spirit and connection that you just fall in love with it, and you're just like, yeah, this film is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it is moving, and it's also hard to pinpoint because I recently watched it with my family, and to them, I guess it came in similar to, I guess, how you must have gone in with my praise, my love for it. And we watched it, and I think both of them, my mother and my brother, were like on the edge because they felt like something dramatic was going to happen. Like one of them is going to die. Like something's happening, which ultimately I guess that is happening, but it's not happening on screen. That's not at all what this is about. This is a holiday, and it's about her remembering her dad. That's all this movie is. And it is that is profoundly beautiful. It's really moving that it's not like dramatizing certain aspects of I guess her trauma that she has from, I guess, her dad soon after passing away. To me, this movie has one of the best endings in any movie ever. I loved The Fabelmans last year. I think this stomps it. It just had me bawling my eyes out for at the second half. At some point in the second half of the film, on I think my second watch of it, I was just crying, and I could not stop crying because it just evoked something on me, in me, and it's for me it's a really personal film as well. So I think I shouldn't share too much, but I got like, for me it hit on a lot of fronts. That it's a Scottish film. They talk in a Scottish way, which I'm familiar with. And I was pretty similar in age to Sophie when my dad passed away. So for me, it I held down a lot of certain feelings that go with like memories, because as you experience it as a kid, I think when you lose someone that's that close to you early in your life, a lot of it is just because you're so young, time moves so fast, you move on. And like you have something like a camcorder that brings you back to it. It just slowly bubbles up and just erupts as well when you are more mature, when you are older. And for me, it completely did that. I also recently had like someone give me a bunch of footage that I had never seen of my dad. So like for me, this was really a cathartic movie, and I cannot escape it. And it also goes a long way that even if you don't have that exact same background or a similar background to me, that you can still attach to it because it has those overall just nostalgia. The melancholy is still so universal that like I feel like pretty much everyone can take something really profound away from the film. And that to me is cinema. That to me is art. So the perfect representation of a really overall perfect movie to me. I really love it.
Also,
that's me oversharing. Let's get back to music.
Directorial debut.
Yes. Oh my God. How have we not talked about Charlotte Wells yet? That
Charlotte
it's also
Wells.
like somewhat autobiographical, although as soon as you cast someone, I think she talked about this as well, as soon as you cast someone, you make a story out of it, it's not her at all anymore. It's not like, it's not the Fableman Steven Spielberg. It's more just like, something similar, but she's not going for an autobiographical thing. It's just, something, a similar story. But yeah, what an opening. What a
crazy
debut.
Right?
Yes.
I'm very
How
excited
incredible.
to see where Charlotte goes from here. This was spectacular in so many ways. Just to kind of stand on your own 2 feet and be confident with what you're making, especially to also have A24 behind you is also very, very lucky, because you could definitely have this film picked up by a different studio who are a bit more controlling, and you wouldn't have had the same film. So having A24 produce this gives me enough confidence
I think
there's no director's cut, because this is Charlotte's vision.
It's her vision. I think what usually I can't really find the information, and I don't remember when it wasn't gone. I think a lot of films go in without a distributor, and they're probably not produced by A24, but because they're just a distributor, I think they pick them up, they buy them, and then do the distribution.
True.
So I think it's more like BFI and Screen Australia, but it's easily, then they're not there to produce it, but at the end of the day, you can't really, A24 can't be there that early, for certain films, but it still gets the quality seal of them like taking them on. It's to me, I think the soundtrack overall is also amazing. The score,
how those songs
really
fade out to just the words as well is some of the, because you have those scenes in here that are a bit artsy fartsy with the flashing of lights and the slowing down of songs, some very popular pop songs, and then sometimes just cutting out all the music and just being the lyrics of those songs. It's just all of a sudden it makes you kind of just come in a little bit. You're trying to see what's happening on the screen, and that's a very engaging way of getting the audience to, I guess, move closer, sit forward at the edge of their seats. Because I agree with your family's comments on something was about to happen. I felt like something was building and nothing ever happens. And I can kind of get that. And I feel like it's those moments that draw you in. And that's why it feels like something building, because there's these small moments, such as the flashing scenes, or just these kind of, like the silence is powerful kind of thing, where if someone doesn't respond to you, the silence is more powerful than saying something. There's those moments in this film as well that make you kind of go, are they going to say something? Is Callum going to say something? Is Sophie going to say something? And you're getting closer and closer to the screen, and then eventually there's sort of no release of that tension. But no, the soundtrack is insane.
I feel like what I really enjoy about it is that the soundtrack is really obvious. It goes like, you're under pressure, or the what's the lyric in that as well?
Macarena,
Last Dance. Yes, no, that's obviously narratively really important. But even I think the karaoke, I'm blanking on what actually are the words to the song, but
Losing
it's
My Religion, R.E.M.
You got that nailed down. I'm really bad at recollecting music.
That's one of my karaoke songs.
Okay. Well, you would have gone up there to help her.
I would have
sing it with her. But it's also, I think, a bit about she sings about I need your support or something like that, and she's not getting it in the moment. So I feel like the musical moments are where Charlotte Wells is able to draw a lot of the obvious stuff that the characters are not able to say. There's the Sophie quote where she goes I think it's nice that we share the same sky, and you can see that Callum is kind of stunted with a lot of the stuff that she brings up to him, where in a lot of the conversation Sophie is a driving force, and I think he's just filled up to the brim with anxiety, with his depression, and with everything that he tries to hold back and not show her all the hurt that he has. And it slowly comes through in certain moments. but then also just Sophie opening up as well. There's one scene later on, it's toward the end of the film, where he asked her if she has a good holiday, and she says, like, the best, wish we could have stayed longer. And he goes like, me too. She goes, like, why can't we? Why can't we? And that became to me really meta as well, because it is in the film itself. We want to stay here longer because we know something bad, in a sense, is going to happen. We'll have to leave this nostalgia, which had its ups and downs, but it's still a place where both of them exist. And if we go back to real time, into the reality, that's not the case anymore. You know, he's not there. And I think it like leads to them dash and dining, leading into the dance and the last dance, and it's beautiful. It makes me tear up even a bit. Oh my god, it's beautiful, that scene. Whew.
What scene? I was listening to Losing My Religion on YouTube, and I probably haven't been paying attention for the past minute and a half.
That last moment that leads into the dance and then the ending. I think it's like a couple of minutes of perfect cinema. It's
wow.
So but yeah,
perfect cinema.
Sorry. Look to me, this is easily. Look, this is easily to me the best film of the decade.
Wow.
I don't know if it will be.
Excuse me? We're only 3 years in, not even 2 years and a couple of months. And you're saying it's the best film of the decade? Or are you saying from 2013 to 2023?
No. Best of the... I think that would take a bit more time to have a look.
Have you seen the movies coming out in the future, Ewan? Are you sure you want to say that?
Well, it's the best of the decade so far. I'm not saying that it will be. I still have to wait for Hayao Miyazaki's...
You said with a definite...
Take me down a peg once I guess, dethrone it. But to me, at the moment, this is the best film. Yeah. At this very moment in time, it's the best film of the decade. It's one of my favorite films of all time.
Would you say it's better than... what's the closest film on Letterboxd? Yeah, Don't Look Up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which one? The one from the 70s?
No. Don't Look Up. This is films from 2020s. You know, I'm trying to see if there's any other better films. Would you say it's better than? This might come close. Minari.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
What about
Dude, there's no hesitation here.
Okay. Tool. House of Gucci.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah. I love it. I mean, Jared Leto. I feel like Paul Mescal might have been miscast. I would have loved to have seen Jared Leto in this with like young people makeup. You know, he could play like a 30-something-year-old and do a Scottish accent. No, to me, I don't know how much of that stays in because I almost teared up right there. But like, there's just moments, exchanges between these two that flow super well. The like score to it feels like, you know, we are like somewhere at the ocean in Turkey, but the whole movie feels like it's an ebb and flow of like, I'm giving you, I'm sharing a bit more than I would maybe, or I'm holding back, or it's hard to describe, because like you said, there's not a lot of story stuff that you can attach to even on the character level. It is just these moments. I'm like the cast where they like separated by the wall. She's not really aware completely of what's going on. And he's like taking off his cast, cutting himself. There's like moments where he stands on the railing. Like it's a really short shot looking at him up on the railing, just like stretching. And you can see that he's not really being careful with but where he might have died in a suicide or just in an accident because he wasn't careful. Like he goes scuba diving without having a license. He crosses the street without like really closely looking at like a bus that's coming. There's a whole bunch of that stuff. And ultimately, when he needs to show up for his daughter, he sometimes can't and sometimes can. It's just a like deeply human movie that is flawed in every sort of way, but also shines light on the beautiful relationships that you have with the past, the present, and the future. And it's a masterpiece, man. It's a masterpiece. I love it to death. My 5-star rating is probably higher than your 5-star rating, if that makes sense. We both shared our ratings already. It's a 5 banger for the both of us, so go give it a try. I'd say if you are in the mind state, you know, of getting into it, similar to like Lachlan, so the next time you gotta do a podcast in 6 hours, go watch it. But that's that. Lachlan, double feature time. What would you pair alongside Aftersun?
You're gonna fucking hate me. So here's how I got to my selection. It's not the Equalizer, but you're gonna love this.
All right.
Aftersun. Aftersun. I thought to myself,
going After Earth. No,
what happens after the sun? Well, you would want to reignite the sun, which is why I have picked the 2007 Danny Boyle directed, Alex Garland written Sunshine.
Sunshine. I haven't even seen it, but it's a
team of international astronauts are sent on a dangerous mission to reignite the dying sun with a nuclear fission bomb in 2057. It's a good film. You should give it a watch.
I'll try and give it a watch. For a minute, I was scared like you would tie into the new M. Night film, you know, with Knock at the Cabin. And you'd go with like, oh, what's something else other than sun? Let's go with After Earth.
Well, I'm now kind of mad that I didn't think of After Earth. I was brainstorming for a little bit, and I wanted to keep with the sun theme, but After Earth is also a very... Yes, that's a very funny one.
Well, for me, other than just go like, you know, go watch Aftersun again, I think something more lighthearted, where ultimately the parents are fine, although they are in a state of peril. But it's basically just a mood movie that you can sit along and just have a good time of it. Is My Neighbor Totoro. Go watch that. I'd say that's my preferred double feature. So you're coming down on the high emotions of Aftersun and have something pleasant and easy to watch with My Neighbor Totoro. Anyways, there's some new releases. Cineman, a really small indie film that's been making the rounds. It's like a film that's basically shot with no budget, and they're just like looking at walls, and it's supposedly just getting you in the feels of what it is like to be scared as a kid. That has been like quite successful in the States, is coming to Shudder. Then Close, my second favorite film of the year, is out in limited release, so go check your local theaters. I know for me, it will launch this Friday as well, so go give that a try if you can. Then the big releases of the week are 80 for Brady, which I'll definitely, I don't know, I'll probably skip out on this one. But the bigger release is the new M. Night Shyamalan film, Knock at the Cabin, which we might end up talking about next week. Other than maybe we can sneak in Close. Maybe I can get Lachlan to see it. I don't know if it releases in Australia, though. But lastly, there's an animated film called The Amazing Maurice that I've seen. And I want to tell you, don't go see it if you have children and you might consider, hey, there's a new animated film about a cat and rats. Don't go see it. Don't go see it. It's horrible. It's one of the worst animated films I've seen in a long time. But that's it for the show this week. Lachlan and I will be back next week with Knocking at the Cabin. So thanks so much for tuning in. Go watch Aftersun. Go follow us on our socials. They are linked below in the description. Go participate in the Oscar predictions. You can win a year of Letterboxd Pro. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Hi, bye-bye.
Is it bad if I just stare into the camera? Bye.